I was saying this, I just want to remind everyone listening, if you're just tuning in, this is a Prophecy on Israel National Radio, Arut Sheva, and the show is syndicated as Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Our guest is LiAmi Lawrence, radio talk show host, and so much more. We'll get to that. But LiAmi, you were speaking more about the fifth column. Please continue.
Yes, I said we consider some of these Arabs the fifth column, but there's a majority of Arabs that are silently. How come Israeli Arabs on Facebook write me private messages that they support Israel? And, people sometimes are afraid to speak up. We, as a majority, Jews, are not afraid to speak up, and I'm very proud of 2,000, 3,000 people coming to Tommy's house and saying, no, this is not right. I'm very proud that all of us spoke up. Every political party in Israel spoke up and said when the Arab kid got murdered in June that it's wrong, that they're horrified. And that's the difference between us and many other countries and many other cultures. Because we're supposed to be doing the right thing. That's what we're taught in the Torah. And if somebody screws up, if somebody doesn't do the right thing, all of us need to say, hey, that's not right, that's wrong, and point that out and make sure it doesn't happen again. If we learn from our experiences, then everything, I believe it happened for a reason, and things will, I told Tommy, I said, things happen for a reason, I believe something great's going to happen to you. One day you're going to be somebody really great, and God picked a special person for this to happen to. If he could build the bridge, between Druze and Israelis. I mean, most people, to be honest, and that's what they wanted me to point out to Israelis, most Israelis have never met a Druze before. The only time they met Druze people is in the army.
Right.
Now, there's discriminate. To be honest, I interviewed a few of Tommy's friends, and these are also soldiers that were in the army and Tommy's brothers. And there is discrimination. If they go into a bar with their fellow soldiers on their day off, on the night off, they're given a night on the town in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv. Tommy and people, the Jewish soldiers, don't go with their friends. Why? Because they avoid embarrassment of not being let into the establishment, to the nightclub. And this is wrong. And that shouldn't have to happen. And so they quietly excuse themselves while all their other friends go out. They serve in the army. They're part of us. They give their lives for us. And that should not be. It broke my heart to hear that. So when you said, is this an isolated incident? Unfortunately, I don't believe it's an isolated incident. Not all incidents get reported. But if this one got enough press attention and it horrified all of us, then hopefully all of us as a collective voice, as Kol Echad Am Echad, that we could stand up and do something about it and make sure this doesn't happen again.
And we will be sending the episode of this program to Tommy. Obviously, we hope he gets better as soon as possible. LiAmi, I want to switch gears. And last week was the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. And I saw this BBC show that said, is it time to put the Holocaust to rest? Meaning, I guess, not think about it. I'm not sure. I wanted to get your thoughts on that week and that liberation of Auschwitz. It's very emotional. And there were a lot of people with different thoughts about how we should approach the Holocaust at this point. So tell us your feelings and your thoughts.
Sure. So I don't know if your audience could tell, but what you would be calling a secular Jew, a secular Israeli. My parents were very secular. My grandparents escaped Vienna, and 5 months later, my father was born. They came from Vienna to America in 1937. And for my father, we weren't allowed to have any German products in the house. My father's first language is German. He refused to speak it. Absolutely refused. Okay, that's the household that I grew up in. We're secular, but all the time, look what they did to us, the Germans. Okay? We can never forget. Now, on Facebook, I posted a video. It's called, the song is called I Will Survive, and it's done by an artist, it's Gloria Gaynor, but the people who did this clip, they were dancing in Auschwitz. A family of four, Jean Corman's family. She's a producer from Australia. She went to Auschwitz a few years ago with her father, who survived Auschwitz, and her kids, and 3 generations were dancing at Auschwitz. And what I got from it was the younger, because we had a whole discussion on my talk show a couple of years ago when this first came out. The younger people thought it was a beautiful thing, and the older people thought it was a horrifying thing. Any way we remember Auschwitz, we can never forget. The guy from the BBC is crazy, and that just shows the anti-Semitism of the BBC. It just continues, whether it's asking a Jew in France and equating what happened at the supermarket to Israel's policies in the West Bank is absolutely full of anti-Semitism, and they're allowed to get away with it day in and day out, and nobody says anything. You know, the funny thing is only the Jews say something. But where's the rest of the people? If you read a survey last week that came out, 36% of Britons think Israel is the worst country. Worse than Iran, worse than North Korea, worse than Iraq, worse than Libya. So if you think 36% of the people in Britain think this way, so of course the BBC is going to say studios and garbage like this. Oh, maybe we had enough of the Holocaust, they're shoving it down our throats, misspeak. No, as long as there are survivors, and all of us are survivors, because we handed down that the survivors have kids and grandchildren. We handed down, just like our Judaism, door to door, from generation to generation. They killed 40% of our people. We're supposed to quickly forget that? No.
Also, is it possible, because you're seeing this more and more, I never thought this as a kid, but that there are people that are denying the Holocaust happened, saying the Jews made it up for, I guess, Zionist reasons to get Israel. I'm not sure exactly. So isn't that also part of the reason to talk about the Holocaust so people don't forget?
Of course. And you know, a plug to the Simon Wiesenthal Foundation and the Museum of Tolerance, you know, because I'm from Los Angeles, and the museum is actually right near where I used to live, in my house, and every day there are buses of kids. They make it part of the school program to go and see this museum. And the thing is, everybody has prejudice inside of them, and that's what this museum shows us, that you could be prejudiced against fat people or skinny people or light-skinned people or dark-skinned people or the blue-eyed people or green-eyed people, whatever, okay? That's just to show you that a small prejudice exists in everybody. And that's what the Museum of Tolerance teaches, is tolerance. And the Holocaust is probably, it was the most heinous act, I think. You could say, well, there was a Holocaust in Cambodia by Pol Pot, or in Africa, in any country in Africa. But it's different, because this was the complete genocide trying to erase Jewish people off the map completely. Not just the people, but their religion, their culture, everything. And we could never, never, never forget this. The sad part is, if you think about it, people like my father who are not religious, if this is the only thing that keeps you, forgive me for saying this, but sometimes I think when there's an anti-Semitic act in the States, I'm happy about it, because it makes people, when they put a SWAT sticker in a college, you know what? it makes people stop and realize that they're Jewish. When I was Hillel president way back at my college, there was like 11 incidents. We had one religious kid who wore a kippah. Somebody threw a rock at him and broke his nose. But this was the age before social media, so guess what? You never heard about this. I had 2 swastikas put on my door, my college door. But you never heard about it. So when I hear the colleges have anti-Semitic incidents, I'm happy because maybe that will make the kids realize who they are and keep their identity and look to marry Jewish people and to carry on our generation of Jews, the next generation of Jews, whereas they just assimilate and they think, okay, it's no big deal, I'm Jewish or Italian, let's go on. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Again, this is a Prophecy on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva, and the show is syndicated as Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're continuing the conversation with former director of media for the Israeli Consulate in Los Angeles and radio personality LiAmi Lawrence. LiAmi, you were talking about anti-Semitic acts going on outside of Israel. Of course, what happened in France weeks ago, the murder of 4 Jews in the supermarket. Is it time, you made Aliyah, is it time for the Jews of France to make Aliyah and come back home to Israel?
What's really beautiful is, I live in the French neighborhood of Tel Aviv. I live by the beach, and Ben Yehuda, all around Ben Yehuda has become a French neighborhood. All the signs are becoming in French. The people are coming. My Opon is 90% French, and the students in my Opon, yes, that's right. I've gone back to school to learn Hebrew, because that's what you speak in Israel. You speak Hebrew, and to be a full-fledged Israeli citizen, to know the culture and become part of the culture, you need to know Hebrew. So I go to Opon with all these French people. There are so many more coming now. They estimate that 15,000 people will come this year. I'm going to do one better, and I think there'll be more than that. I think there's so many people coming and getting ready to leave France that I hope Israel's prepared for all these people, because there's nothing worse than all these people coming here and then running back the other way if they don't have jobs and Israel's not prepared for them. I believe that this Aliyah is a special Aliyah. It's different because this is the first major Aliyah from any Western country, from the West. These people have choices. They could go to Canada. They could go to another place in Europe. They could go to America. They're choosing to come to Israel. So I hope in my heart of hearts that Israel is ready to absorb all these people, because if it's successful with the French people coming, then maybe finally people from Canada and America will look to see Israel and say, wow, if the French people settled here, maybe I could come and make a go of it here too. Remember, there's only 600,000 people, Jewish people in France. Okay, this is the first year that more than 7,000 made Aliyah. That's 1% of the French Jewish community. In America, we're more than 6 million Jews, and less than 4,000 made Aliyah.
That's something to think about. So, because I've been told the numbers, some people say the numbers are going up, but not necessarily in correlation with the population. Give us your feelings on the Aliyah movement at this point. Are we going down in steam, or are we going up?
What, from America?
Well, for both America and from Europe.
Well, Europe is increasing. Italy, for instance, has 35,000 Jews, and 350 made Aliyah this past year. Okay? That's huge. You know, it's a smaller community, so no one talks about it. Right. England, 550 people made Aliyah this year, a big increase. And the community is 300,000. So, you know, if they are successful in absorbing the European Jews that are coming here from the West, these are not people fleeing for a better life from Ukraine or from Ethiopia or from, you know, the other countries that Israel gets immigrants from, usually because they're running away from poverty or persecution. This is the first time Western Jews are making Aliyah. in large numbers.
You were talking about Israel needs to be prepared for them, especially people from France, because there are a lot of people coming. What can Israel do to prepare itself? How is it that they could go about making sure that they stay and don't go back to France?
Okay, they're doing. First of all, it's very funny what type of French Jew is making Aliyah and what type of French Jew is not. The community is two. There's the Mizrahim from Middle East. Their roots are from like Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco. And then there's what I call the white people. Those were people, with the last name Bergs and Steen and European French Jews who have been there for hundreds of years. That community, the Ashkenazim, are shrinking. Why? Because they're like a 60%, 70% into marriage level. And they're not producing kids. And they're leaving Judaism. Whereas the Jews from the Mizrahim, are having kids, and they always had a foot in Israel because one uncle, when they left Morocco with Tunisia, one uncle came to Israel, and their parents went to France. And now those people are coming to Israel because they have family here, they know Israel, most of them have been to Israel, and they're very Zionistic oriented. They're very, very pro-Israel. And I think it's a blessing for Israel. Seriously, we have to do as much as we can to make sure that they're successfully absorbed here, which includes helping them find jobs, helping them start businesses. These people are not poor. A lot of them have bought apartments in Tel Aviv and Netanya and Ashdod, and they're empty because they use them as a house for vacation or just in case they need to flee. Okay? So if they could take the same business mind that they have in France and use the business mind towards Israel, Israel is going to thrive. But if Israel does not give them help in setting up businesses and absorbing them and teaching them Hebrew and helping them move here through the absorption process, they're not going to stay. Now, I'm here by myself. I've been here 6 months. If it wasn't for my friends, the first week I would have gone back. It's not easy to pick yourself up. I'll give you an example for your audience because I know you have a huge audience in the States. When you come to an Israeli supermarket and you're here the first week and you don't know Hebrew and you're looking at pictures of every product and that's how you're buying products because you can't read what's on the label. Because remember, we speak Hebrew up in here in Israel. It is a problem. It took me 2 hours to find what I was looking for in terms of products because I had no idea what I was buying. Do I buy hummus with olives? Do I buy hummus with tahina? Do I buy hummus with harif? You understand? There's so many different choices and you can't read it because you don't read Hebrew. And it makes you realize, wow, I'm helpless. And like for me, my friends decided to go shopping with me and to help me and absorb me after that experience because who can't go shopping by themselves? But when you realize that there's a language barrier and not just the language, the letters, if you're just here for the first time trying to absorb everything, it's a bit much. So they really have to help them and guide them. And, for Aliyah from America, Nefesh B'Nefesh took it over from the Jewish Agency. And I do give Nefesh B'Nefesh a lot of props because they do a good job. Are they increasing the numbers? I don't know, maybe a little. But it's very hard to convince. Now is a great time to convince some of these Americans to move to Israel. Because a lot of people economically in Los Angeles, I could only speak for LA, the economy is very bad there. So to look for a job there are a lot of people that don't have jobs there or are not happy with the jobs they have. And while they're young, Israel should do a better job convincing them to come. And now they have these programs like Birthright and Masa and all these other programs that they need to convince people, not that is the time to strike while it's hot. And I really believe that the economy in Israel is a lot better than America. The prices, no, but the economy. And I think that Israel could do a little bit better job absorbing more American immigrants. We should be having 20, 30,000 American immigrants a year, not 4,000, 3,000. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see more people make Aliyah from all over the world and have more people come back to Israel. LiAmi, we're at the end of our program. I want to thank you very much for coming on, and tell everyone out there listening how they can find out more about you and get in contact with you.
Sure. So you could contact me, LiAmi Lawrence, LiAmi Lawrence, on either Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, Instagram, what else? Or my email, liamilawrence@yahoo.com.
All right. And
I want to thank you very much, sir.
Sure.
I enjoyed being on your program, and I enjoyed talking to everybody. And keep in touch with me, write me, and I look forward to meeting some of your audience.
Yes, and it's a shame that we're out of time for this episode. We'll have to have you back on again. And it was a great conversation. We're going to keep in touch with the story about Tommy, obviously, and make sure that he gets all the medical attention he needs and there's justice done regarding that incident. I want to thank everyone for listening to today's program. Again, this is a Prophecy on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. The show is syndicated as Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so. And you can email me at messiahhour@gmail.com. A reminder that I'm on JApp. That's a Jewish application that has sharing for big rabbis, as well as episodes of this program. The website is www.j-app.me. You can also download JApp from iTunes or Google Play stores. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, again, email me. Any show topics, anyone you want me to interview, go ahead and do that at messiahhour@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a great day. Be well.